There's more to imagine when you listen. So let your imagination soar with Audible. Audible has audio titles from every genre that will inspire you to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. As an Audible member, you get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog. Enjoy an exciting reawakening of a beloved classic with the Audible original, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Produced by Academy Award-winning director Sam Mendes. Starring Ncuti Gatwa, Helena Bonham Carter, and Theo James. This adaptation breathes new life into a familiar tale. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text IMAGINE to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text IMAGINE to 500-500.
Worried about letting someone else pick out the perfect avocado for your perfect impress them on the third date guacamole? Well, good thing Instacart shoppers are as picky as you are. They find ripe avocados like it's their guac on the line. They are milk expiration date detectives. They bag eggs like the 12 precious pieces of cargo they are. So let Instacart shoppers overthink your groceries so that you can overthink what you'll wear on that third date. Download the Instacart app today to get free delivery on your first 3 orders, while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. That's what you'll feel with Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets in 100% organic cotton. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. Start getting your best night's sleep in sheets that get softer and softer for years to come. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off with your first order at bollandbranch.com. Code WONDERY15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Welcome to How to Survive with Danielle and Kristine, the show that teaches you how to survive the things that can kill you.
Like expired cheese.
Ugh.
COVID, the sequel.
No.
How about bad credit?
Ugh. And the things that make you just wish you were dead.
Like mooching boyfriends. Surprise! It's your period.
Yeah.
How about being related to Ron DeSantis?
Oh, that can't be fun for anybody.
No.
The only thing that can cure them? Our theme song.
Let's hit it. Boop.
Ground is shaking under our feet. Mountains on fire, flooding in the street. Can't breathe the air, can't fight the feeling. Gobbling down Xanax ain't the way to be dealing. Gotta do better than just getting high. We gotta stick together if we're gonna survive. How to survive. How to survive.
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
Hi, Garen.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, I just wish we could gossip.
We can gossip.
We totally can.
Well, we just heard from Garen that Lizzo might be problematic.
Yes.
Of all people.
Yeah.
The jury's out on that. I'm gonna let that, I guess literally, because she's being sued for being inappropriate with her staff.
Sexual harassment, religious harassment.
Religious harassment.
Yeah, her dance captain or whoever's in charge of their dancers allegedly is like proselytizing or whatever at practices.
That would be worse to me than being
I'd rather
sexually harassed.
Please grab my ass.
I know,
but
exactly.
just don't talk to me about Jesus.
Exactly. I don't want to know why I'm going to hell. Just stick a finger up me. I'd rather deal with it than I'd have a story. All right,
Stick a finger at me.
I'm being wildly sarcastic. Still.
But not.
Not
really.
Well,
wow. So, and then Lizzo's being sued for sexual harassment. So she was like,
for making her dancers touch nude people in Amsterdam.
Yeah. So I guess pressuring a dancer into touching a nude performer at an Amsterdam club. I thought that's what you were supposed to do.
So it's probably like they're drinking and
she's
they're like, do it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm picturing it. And then someone decides to sue over that.
I don't know. I'm on Lizzo's side.
So far I am, but I don't know what's really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know.
You can't sue for everything.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Sometimes life is going to have experiences. If I sued for every time I had a bad experience on a set,
right?
Why didn't I?
I was just going to say, maybe you should have.
Can you go back in time?
You may have had legitimate reasons.
Do I have time to do this?
I did finally see Barbie.
Oh, great.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what I didn't like about it because I'm sure there are people who still haven't seen it. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
I agree. I overall really enjoyed it. I definitely think everyone should see it.
Wait, did your kids see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. What do 10-year-old, almost 11-year-olds think of this movie?
They really liked it.
Okay.
They enjoyed it. They thought it was fun. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was impressed because I guess since it was Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach writing it together, I thought the jokes were funnier than I thought.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually thought it could have used a punch-up.
Well, but considering they're not, I don't think of them as
comedy writers.
Yeah, I guess I was like, oh, there's some,
that's a good
the
point.
jokes are pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like joke writer level jokes. You know, I guess I went in thinking not necessarily I'm going to see a comedy. And I was like, oh, this is a comedy.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely laughed out loud a few times.
Yeah.
Some things definitely hit.
But there were a couple very specific things that I was like, but we can talk about that off air.
Okay, we will.
So that
I'm just curious what the kids like. Did you talk to them about like, you know, the sexist stuff and like what all that means? Did they get that?
I think they got it.
They got it. I mean, it was very on the nose. It was hard not to get.
It was, you know, that was maybe one of the things that was like very on the nose. So I think they got it. And I mean, you know, whether this is maybe my bad parenting, you know, they've seen a lot. They watch a lot of SNL. They've seen probably every episode of The Simpsons. So I don't think
that's bad parenting.
There's a lot of kind of cultural stuff that they've been exposed to as far as like patriarchy, sexism. I talk about that kind of stuff a lot.
Okay.
You know, that they will even point stuff out, like if it's in a show. Like when we've been watching Naked and Afraid, there is an interesting element in Naked and Afraid, you know, because they're pairing a man and a woman together. There's an element of machismo guy that often goes on that show because they're survivalist guys. And a lot of them have a military background. So you get a lot of like machismo guys who are kind of sexist towards the women.
Yeah.
And and my kids will immediately point it out.
Good.
They'll be like, look at that guy. He's like, he's not being very dismissive towards the woman and he's kind of trying to take charge. And when she does something, he talks down to her about it. Like,
that's great.
They notice it.
Okay.
And I think it's maybe because of all the things they've been exposed to. And also because I'm harping on it.
Because I'm a nag. I'm a womanly nag.
I'm a harpy, naggy woman who never, you know, misses a chance to point it out. But also, I'm very quick to sort of point those things out.
That's good.
Because I want them to notice it. You know, I think it's important for them to see those kind of things. So, hey, before you start.
Oh, because you saw, sorry.
I think we need to tell everybody. We need to tell everybody our merchandise store.
Yes,
Danielle.
Well,
good job.
Not really. I fucked it up 25 different ways, and I feel so embarrassed about it.
I think we could both take responsibility.
No,
for that.
it was my bad. I was so excited about getting it up. That's what he said. So if you go to howtosurvive.threadless.com
or just go to our it's not fixed on our website yet, but it will be by the time this episode comes out. So you can go to our website. It's going to have a link in our newsletter.
Right.
So there you can get to it many different ways.
Yes. So we have 4 designs, lots of products. We've got yoga mats.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to get a new one because my cat is destroying my yoga mat.
Oh, really? Oh, well then because you could get how perfect is a Remain Calm yoga mat?
I can't think of anything more perfect to be on a yoga mat.
You can get a tote bag. You can get a little like fabric backpack.
You know you need a tote bag.
Plus, of course, many styles of T-shirts. Stickers, magnets, mugs.
Probably stuff we're not even saying.
I think a mouse pad might be one of them. Yeah, mouse pad.
People need mouse pads like nobody's business.
Yeah, it's not our business. But if you need it, then we'll know.
And if you take a picture, we'll share it on social media.
Yes. Oh, that's a good idea. So
please make it our business.
Yeah, but the shirts come in all different, styles. If you like a thicker T-shirt, a thinner T-shirt, a tighter T-shirt, a baseball tee, a ringer tee. The ringer tee is cute.
Half shirt?
You have to cut it yourself, I think, to make a half shirt.
Here's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Get full-size shirt and then cut it in the bottom, like stringy.
Oh, I hated that look.
Remember?
God,
Remember, like,
yes.
didn't Bon Jovi wear one like that in like a video?
Say, I want to
Did
go to
he?
a Bon Jovi concert.
Please find that. Karen,
Oh, I thought that
please.
was just a women thing.
I think rockers did it. I hope there's a picture of John Bon Jovi doing that. Do you know his son is engaged to Millie Bobby Brown?
I did know that.
That's,
yeah.
They're too young to be engaged.
I agree. I don't know how old they are, but they're too young.
I hope that's a publicity thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be, right? They can't be getting
I don't
engaged
know.
this early.
I mean, look at Ariana Grande.
Yeah, she's like, I've already been
Gets married. She's
multiple
done.
times. Yeah.
Multiple times?
I don't know. I just imagine.
And then the guy that she left her husband for, or at least is dating now that she's divorced.
Yeah.
Have you seen him?
No. I never even saw a picture of her husband. That happened so fast.
He's real goofy looking.
I mean,
You do not expect him to be pulling, as they say, Ariana Grande.
well, maybe he's nice
well,
or funny.
I don't know. He just left his wife, so I don't know how nice he is. But
Oh, creepazoid.
he claims they were already divorced before he started
I
dating.
bet.
But who
I
knows? They're in Wicked together, the movie. So obviously he's talented. He must be a singer.
Regional Wicked?
Regional Wicked.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What the fuck? Karen just pulled up a photo that I thought was
The thing is, he's
corpse. What is that? Karen, what are you making me look? That's the
That's
guy?
her fella.
that's the guy whose marriage she may or may not have destroyed, and he has kids or a kid. That's the guy. She had to have him, Chris. She had to have him.
That's the guy she had to have on top of her.
Yes.
Let me see it
She
again.
had to.
Let me see it again one more time.
Are you here? Here's
I mean,
another one.
look, we've all been in our 20s, but stop it. Is there a normal picture of him?
That's what he looks like.
He's in his prime or something. They're out.
He's
at the,
just he looks, he's got orange hair.
Yeah.
Very pale. He's a fine, average, normal looking person if you were just seeing him on the street, maybe.
You're being very generous right
well,
now.
I don't like making fun of people's looks,
No,
but I'm the one who started it.
I don't
so.
want to looks shame.
It's just not the person you expect. Oh, she had to have him. It was worth.
She had
Possibly
two
destroyed two marriages, right.
have been destroyed. We don't want to ascribe blame to anyone.
Right.
But
she seems to like guys that aren't traditionally.
I know,
hot,
but everyone says
quote
that about
unquote.
Pete Davidson. He's fine looking.
He's fine.
I don't think Pete Davidson is.
I
yeah.
like Pete.
I think he's a cutie patootie,
Yeah,
to be
I think
honest. I don't.
yeah.
He's not, again, doesn't ring my bell.
No,
but
not me neither. But I don't think it's like, oh my god,
think he's a
him.
cutie
But this
patootie.
guy looks. I mean, he looks sort of effeminate, and
he looks like he would play an undertaker in some kind of, scary musical.
He's the perfect Seymour. I
yes.
think.
No, I don't even think that.
No.
You mean in
Little Shop?
Little Shop? No.
He would maybe an understudy of Seymour.
Regional little shop.
Regional Little Shop.
I do want to say I think we'll have some new designs coming too. We're gonna work on. I'm gonna
I sure hope so.
work on some new designs based on some fun things we've
that
said
we've
recently.
Okay.
So
The Drink Your Coffee, by the way, looks fantastic too. And that you don't even have to be a fan of the show. Like that's just a great
drink your coffee.
drink your coffee.
I know we got to get to the topic, but can I just tell you
do.
one quick thing?
Yeah.
Benjamin over the weekend decided to start designing drink your coffee to try to sell on our site where
Oh my
so he
God.
made coffee, he ordered bottles, and he made a logo, and now he's making coffee to try to sell to our fans.
That's fantastic, but how are we going to do that? We can't sell coffee on a
I know.
site that prints T-shirts.
I know, but he's figuring it out. So he's like,
Okay.
Mom, I'm making drink your coffee for your How to Survive
So
fans.
cute.
And I'm letting him figure it
I
out.
love him so much.
So that's coming.
All right, we really need to get
Yes,
into today's
sorry.
topic.
Go.
It's sort of a long one, but maybe I can edit as we go.
No, just make it long and we'll figure it out.
It is how to survive a low credit score.
Oh, been there.
Right?
Yes.
This is a very useful, I think,
A lot
topic.
of people have to deal with this.
Yes. And also, you don't know what goes into it, and this just kind of tells you. It's a little primer.
I love it.
Okay, your credit score is one of the most important measures of your financial health. It tells lenders at a glance how responsibly you use credit. The better your score, the easier you will find it to be approved for new loans or new lines of credit. A higher credit score can also open the door to the lowest available interest rates when you borrow. If you would like to boost your credit score, there are a number of quick, simple things you can do. While it might take a few months to see an improvement in your credit score, you can start working toward a better score in just a few hours.
Ooh, a few hours. Tell us how, Danielle.
I'm going to, but first I'm just going to tell you why it matters. Credit scores measure your ability to manage debt. The higher your score, the more responsible you appear in the eyes of the lenders. An 850 credit score, for instance, is considered to be perfect score using the FICO model.
Ooh, I don't have that one.
An 850?
No, I'm not.
I don't know what my credit score is.
It doesn't. Your banks don't give you. You can tell your banks should be able to.
I'm sure. Yes. What does a high credit score get you? The simplest answer is better loan terms and easier approval. A good or excellent credit score will save most people hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of their lifetime. Someone with excellent credit gets better rates on mortgages, auto loans, and everything that involves financing. Individuals with better credit ratings are considered, well, also when you rent, like, don't they look at your credit score, even though you're not going to be doing a mortgage, they still want to. Individuals with better credit ratings are considered lower risk borrowers, with more banks competing for their business and offering better rates, fees, and perks. Conversely, those with poor credit ratings are considered higher risk borrowers, with fewer lenders competing for them and more businesses getting away with high annual percentage rates or APRs because of it. Additionally, a poor credit score can affect your ability to I got ahead of myself, to find rental housing.
There you go.
Rent a car.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know they look at it to rent a car. And even get life insurance because your credit score affects your insurance score. How to build good credit.
Basically everything as an adult.
Yes. And it's something you kind of, going back to those things that they don't tell you in school that you need to be aware of.
And it starts like immediately when you become an adult. Like you have to start building it right away.
How to build good credit.
Oh, segue.
Yeah. Luckily, there are several steps that you can take to improve your credit score. Some of them, my glasses are floating.
I like how you just did like a woo woo, like you just saw like
did a Tex
something
Avery
sexy.
With my, and my tongue rolled out.
That was a good font.
Roll back in. The sexy font. Ooh. Some of them may be things you work on over the course of weeks or months. Others are doable in a single day and will help your credit improve quickly. Okay. This is step one. Review your credit reports. Estimated time, 1 to 3 hours. Before you can work on improving your credit, it helps to know what might be working in your favor or against you. That's where checking your credit history comes in. Pull a copy of your credit report from each of the 3 major national credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Then review each report to see what's helping or hurting your score. Factors that contribute to a higher credit score include a history of on-time payments, low balances on your credit cards, a mix of different credit card and loan accounts, older credit accounts, we'll get more into that later, and minimal inquiries for new credit. Later missed payments, high credit card balances, collections, and judgments are major credit score detractors.
Yes, you don't want things to go into collections if you can help it. And here's a little tip I learned. If you have a late payment accidentally, you can call the credit card company and just say like, hey, can you not have that listed because I don't want it to show up in my credit report? And oftentimes they won't do that.
I actually have done that. Yeah. I don't know if it was a credit card. It may have been like some other bill. And I was like, get it off your, and they're like,
fine.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Chris. You can plead dum-dum. Yeah. I call it pleading dum-dum.
But you have to be a girl and use a cute voice.
Yeah, you have to talk like this.
So if you're a man, just use a girl voice.
How would Ariana Grande's boyfriend talk?
So talk like Ariana Grande and was it Sam and Cat? That was the show she was in.
Yeah. How often should you check your credit score? You should check your credit score regularly to check for errors, but make sure that you do so through soft inquiries. Because you know how you're always told, like, you don't want to
ding it.
You don't want to have your credit checked too much. And this explains how you do and don't do that. Right, so that your score isn't dinged. Many banks offer free credit monitoring to their customers. Check with yours to see if you can enroll in their service and get alerts whenever your score changes.
Yeah.
So that's good. How can you quickly improve your credit score? Improving credit scores can take time, and you likely won't see a huge increase overnight. However, you can take pills for that, though.
Oh, yeah. Take those credit score pills. Yeah. I think they have them at like GNC.
They also have them at the gas station, but I don't know if I would take those
No,
ones.
you know what? You spend the extra.
It's
worth it.
Yes, when it comes to something that important.
Yeah, gas station credit check pills.
No, you have to time it just right, too.
Yeah.
If your credit...
You have to time it just...
Be wary of credit repair services that advertise instant credit repair or anything else that seems too good to be true.
Yeah,
That's
don't
just
do that.
a good in life.
Yeah.
Just
anything that seems too good to be true, it's mostly always not.
All right.
I said that well.
You did. You said it so good. Get a handle on bill payments. Estimated time 1 to 2 hours. More than 90% of top lenders use FICO scores to make credit decisions. These are determined by 5 distinct factors. Okay. Payment history makes up 35% of your FICO score. Credit usage makes up 30%. Age of credit accounts, again, we'll get into that. 15%. Credit mix, like you were saying. 10%. And new credit inquiries, 10%. As you can see, payment history has the biggest impact on your credit score. That is why, for example, it's better to have paid off debts, such as your old student loans, remain on your record. If you paid your debts responsibly and on time, it works in your favor. So a simple way to raise your credit score is to avoid late payments at all costs. I mean, that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But some tips for doing that include creating a filing system, either paper or digital, for keeping track of monthly bills, setting due date alerts so you know when a bill is coming up, automated bill payments from your bank account.
That's what
definitely do that for my car. Another option is charging all or as many as possible of your monthly bill payments to a credit card. This strategy assumes that you'll pay the balance in full each month to avoid interest charges. Yes. Going this route could simplify bill payments and boost your credit score if it results in a history of on-time payments. Mm-hmm. So have it charged to your credit card as opposed to being withdrawn from your, savings account.
Yes.
Aim for 30% credit utilization or less. Estimated time varies based on total debt and monthly payments. Credit utilization refers to the portion of your credit limit that you use at any given time. So how much, your credit card will say you have a limit of $3,000.
Yeah.
So it's how much you use of that. Okay. The simplest way to keep your credit utilization in check is to pay your credit card balances in full each month. Again, maybe easier said than done.
Yeah,
but
most people are not able to do that.
If you can't always do that, then it's a good rule of thumb to keep your total outstanding balance at 30% or less of your total credit limit. Mm-hmm. Okay, you do the math on that, but you want to keep, if it's $10,000, then you want to keep it at $3,000. Would that be 30%? I don't know.
Yes.
From there, you can work on whittling that down to 10% or less, which is considered ideal for raising your credit score. Okay, another way to improve your credit score utilization ratio, ask for a credit limit increase. I know that seems crazy, but this is what they're saying. Raising your credit limit can help your credit utilization as long as your balance doesn't increase in tandem.
Exactly.
So raise it with the knowledge that you're not going to be taking advantage of that and spending like a crazy person.
You want to get that $10,000 if they give it up to $20,000.
Right.
Now your utilization has gone
way down.
Way down.
Because the percentage is exactly. Most credit card companies allow you to request a credit limit increase online. I mean, I get messages all the time to request, and I don't do it because I don't want to feel like I have more money than I have, I guess. Mm-hmm. But now I see the advantage. You'll just need to update your annual household income. It's possible to be approved for a higher limit in less than a minute. You can also request a credit limit increase over the phone. Limit your requests for new credit and the hard inquiries with them. Okay, there are 2 types of inquiries into your credit history, often referred to as hard and soft inquiries. Again, you can take a pill to change from hard to soft and back again.
I like to just take the pill.
You just like to take the pill anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
A typical soft inquiry might include you checking your own credit, giving a potential employer permission to check your credit, checks performed by financial institutions with which you already do business, like your bank, and credit card companies that check your file to determine if they want to send you pre-approved credit offers. Soft inquiries will not affect your credit score.
Right.
Hard inquiries, however, can affect your credit score adversely for anywhere from a few months to 2 years. Hard inquiries can include applications for a new credit card, a mortgage, an auto loan, or some other form of new credit. Like when you go and look at an apartment and you're applying at 5 places. And I remember that being like, oh, great. The occasional hard inquiry is unlikely to have much of an effect, but many of them in a short period of time can damage your credit score. Banks could take it to mean that you need money because you're facing financial difficulties and are therefore a bigger risk. If you are trying to raise your credit score, avoid applying for a new credit for a while. Mm-hmm. It's still like, I don't know why they can't just trace it back to, oh, they're looking for an apartment. That's why their credit keeps getting checked. I don't know why it has to be they're running a scam and need to get money. Anyway, okay, make the most of a thin credit file. Having a thin credit file means that you don't have enough credit history on your report to generate a credit score. An estimated 62 million Americans have this problem. Fortunately, there are ways to fatten up a thin credit file and earn a good credit score. So this is the one case where society is telling you thin is not good. One is Experian Boost. This relatively new program collects financial data that isn't normally in your credit reports, such as your banking history and utility payments, and includes that in calculating your Experian FICO score.
Okay.
It's free to use and designed for people who, with limited or no credit, who have a positive history of paying their bills on time. Their other bills on time.
Well, that's nice.
Yes, Ultra FICO is a similar option. This free program uses your banking history to help build a FICO score. Things that can help include having a savings cushion, maintaining a bank account over time, paying your bills through your bank account on time, and avoiding overdrafts. Oh my God, I had so many overdrafts when I was in my 20s.
Oh, that was like all I had.
Put one of those long sock things at the bottom of the door because a draft is coming in.
And that wasn't the kind where it was covered. Like my bank now covers those, which I don't really have, But
no, it's
it would be like $30 every time.
Every time.
And I'd be like, next time I get a check, which is barely going to cover my overdraft,
right?
Because I wasn't even making anything. So I was just like.
A third option applies to renters. If you pay rent monthly, several services allow you to get credit for those on-time payments. For example, Rental Karma and Rent Track will report your rent payments to the credit bureaus on your behalf, which in turn could help your score. Note that reporting rent payments may only affect your... Okay, I'm just going to skip this because it's going on so long.
That's actually great they do that, though, because it used to be, it feels like the only way you could build credit is by getting credit cards. And so it puts everyone who's young in this cycle of like debt.
Right.
Unless you're very responsible, it's really hard to avoid.
Well, they also... When I turned 18, I was like I opened my front door and there was a stack of credit cards.
Yeah, it's
like,
an onslaught.
Yes.
Here you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Here's your welcome to the world. Here's your debt immediately.
Yeah. Oh, I remember like registration for college, walking up and there were, tables.
It's all credit cards, right?
All credit cards, mm-hmm. And you do
high interest too.
Yes, very high for someone that age. Keep old accounts open and deal with delinquencies. The older your current, again. This system wants you to be fat and old.
Yes.
We love this system.
The only system.
And low.
Yes.
Fat, old, and low.
Yes.
Keep old accounts open and deal with delinquencies. Okay. The age of credit portion of your credit score looks at how long you've had your credit accounts. The older your average credit age, the more favorably you appear to lenders. Mm-hmm. So you're not just switching from one credit card to another. You've maintained.
Yes.
If you have old credit accounts that you're not using, don't close them.
Do not.
You know all this stuff.
Yes, I do.
You're a smarty pants.
Well, you wouldn't think so based on my bankruptcy, but I had to learn this.
This is why you know it, right? Because though the credit history for those accounts would remain on your credit report, closing credit cards while you have a balance on other cards would lower your available credit and increase your credit utilization ratio. That could knock a few points off your score. And if you have delinquent accounts, charge-offs, or collection accounts, take action to resolve them. For example, if you have an account with multiple late or missed payments, get caught up on what is past due, then work out a plan for making future payments on time. That won't erase the late payments, but can raise your payment history going forward. Okay, consider consolidating your debts. This could take 2 to 3 hours. If you have a number of outstanding debts, it could be to your advantage to take out a debt consolidation loan. You've probably heard those advertised on TV from a bank or credit union and pay off all of them. Then you'll have just one payment to deal with, and if you're able to get a lower interest rate on the loan, which I think is the whole point of consolidating, right? Instead of the high credit card, you're just getting one
thing to pay.
Yeah, at a lower, hopefully, percentage.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You'll be in a position to pay down your debt faster. That can improve your credit utilization ratio and in turn your credit score. A similar tactic is to consolidate multiple credit card balances by paying them off with a balance transfer credit card. Such cards often have a promotional period when they charge 0% interest on your balance, but beware of balance transfer fees, which can cost you 3 to 5%.
There's usually a good site they have a lot of different financial sites though that'll say here are 5 different credit cards with balance transfers, and they'll compare all of them.
Yes.
So that's a good place to do research on that.
Absolutely.
And you can find the one that suits your needs the best.
Yeah.
They do the hard work for you.
I think the ones that suit your needs are the ones with the lowest fee.
Or zero fee.
Does paying off a loan help or hurt credit? Paying off a loan frequently hurts credit. This is so weird because it impacts your credit history and your credit mix. If the loan that you have paid off is your oldest credit line, then the average age of your credit will become newer. See, so remember how the age thing was important? So if you've paid off your oldest one and that's gone, and you just opened a credit card last month, then they're going from that.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't really give you much of an incentive to pay off your collections.
I know.
It's well, it's already in collection, so I'll just throw this in the garbage and never pay it.
Yeah. If the loan that you pay off is your only loan, then your credit suffers. It's crazy.
Well, in some loans, it's like student loans should always be last because they're not bad debt to carry.
What does that mean? They're not bad debt to carry?
They don't look bad on credit.
Oh, okay.
So that's something I had read at some point where it's if you have different kinds of if you have credit cards and then you have student loans, pay your credit cards first.
Oh, okay.
Also, they're often credit cards often have much higher interest, than student loans. So
what is the incentive to pay off your student loans?
Beats me.
Okay.
If they're federal, then they'll just take your tax return if they go into default.
Okay, that's an incentive.
Just keep deferring.
I deferred and deferred and deferred, and then eventually, paid them off. But now I have new ones, and I'm not required to pay them right now, but that's going to start soon.
Really?
Because they've been in all of COVID. They've been in break.
Forgiveness, yeah.
But I think that's ending. We're any minute.
Well, maybe we'll get knock on wood. Maybe we'll get another pandemic on our hands, and then you can.
It sounds like it's coming back.
Finally.
Will paying the minimum of my finally on my cards improve my credit score? No, this is a widespread myth. You need to pay at least the minimum payment due on your credit card every month so that your cards have an on-time payment history. You do not have to pay a single cent in interest to improve your credit score. In fact, paying your credit card balances in full every month will have the greatest positive impact on your score because it will improve your credit utilization percentage. Are you ready for a very short story?
Yes.
Okay. It was not, this were not
the life or death.
Yes.
People weren't
situation.
I'm falling off of a hill, but my credit
score is low, or high. So, okay, it's so easy for important things to get lost in the shuffle during a move, and sometimes it can even cause a ding on your financial credit. One of my own scores crashed several years ago after we moved, said Liz Winston, who actually happens to be NerdWallet's personal finance columnist and author of Your Credit Score.
Well, NerdWallet is a good place to go for help.
Right. And Your Credit Score, the book, sounds like a page turner, doesn't it?
Can't wait to rip through it.
A library book got boxed up and put into storage.
Uh-oh.
And the late notices, along with a bunch of other mail, including a 401k rollover check, wound up going to the wrong address, said Winston. Of course, moving is stressful and all-consuming, so this oversight went unnoticed for a bit. By the time I figured all this out, I had a collection on my TransUnion credit report, and my FICO score dropped more than 50 points.
Oh my gosh.
Like everyone on the list, Winston did get out of the credit predicament. Paying the collection didn't help, but time eventually did, said Weston. So I just thought that was an amusing story of
how your
library book
can really screw you up.
They're not kidding.
No.
I had no idea that would even be a thing.
I think they've chilled a little bit about it now.
Okay.
Because they're just we're barely staying
right.
afloat.
If you just want to set up shop and bring in your own smoothie maker and make the noisiest.
Yeah. We're just happy you're here.
And just hang out at the library. We're happy you're here. Yeah.
I had a situation once where, I had this breakup. I was pretty sad about it. It was here in LA. And I realized, I don't know, probably 2 months later, that he had one of my library books.
Oh.
And so I think I emailed him because I got a notice from the library that was like, hey, I need to get this library book back. And I remember having to like multiple times contact him about the library book, which was humiliating.
That is ridiculous.
Because I already was so rejected and like felt so heartbroken. And then I had to constantly contact him about the library book.
Was he just not responding to you?
He was like, oh yeah, I'll totally get that back to you. I'll drop it off. And then it just wouldn't be at my apartment. And I ended up having a $60 late fee for it. And also it was like that time where I'm so broke. And then I was like, I will not ask him for that money because I am just not even gonna. But I remember thinking like, yeah, they don't fuck around at the library.
I guess not.
One more thing I wanted to share.
Yes.
The thing about, so one of the things I think that helped me learn about credit is I got hired in the middle of my years of being bankrupt while I was recovering from being bankrupt. I got hired by this Russian woman. I don't really know what she did, but she hired me to write a digital like ebook.
Okay.
About improving your credit score.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it was really funny that
that's hilarious.
As a person who was bankrupt, and I think I was still living on my friend's couch at the time.
Amazing.
I was the person who got hired to write this book about how to improve your credit.
Was it improving your credit by, was it Your Credit Score by Liz Weston by any chance?
No, it was really long. I mean, it was like, I don't know.
You wrote a whole book about.
Yes.
Oh, you should have done this episode. I didn't know.
No, I mean, I'm glad you did it. This was like 15 years ago.
Was she happy with your work? Did you write the whole thing?
I never heard. I think I got paid and I didn't get any notes.
Right.
It was like, I think I told you about
notes.
No
it's
notes.
Perfect.
I mean, it's happened a couple of times in my life. Like I wrote this, which was not a pleasant experience, but when the twins were, I think like 10 weeks old.
Oh my.
I wrote that Amanda Bynes True Hollywood Story.
Oh yeah.
From home.
Right.
And they were like, we don't want it to be disrespectful, but we still want it.
We're going to talk about how she blew up her life.
And we want
it's
it,
not
but
disrespectful.
Still funny. And I hadn't written ever before for True Hollywood Story. And I didn't even know they still did them at that point because this is like 2012. So I really didn't even know what I was doing. And so I'm like, okay. And I just gave birth. So I was feeling so like many feelings.
Yeah.
And, like my kids had just come home from the NICU basically. And I'm like, poor Amanda Bynes. Like I'm just crying all the time. I'm going to try to like do her honor.
Oh my God. But funny.
And also
but respectful.
She has mental illness. Like,
right.
So I don't know. They just never, like they paid me and then I never heard from them again. So I would love to see the script that I sent to them. I probably still have it on some external drive at home.
Did you ever write another Hollywood true story?
Oh no, that was it.
No.
They never contacted me again. Which, I think I'm kind of grateful in a way that it wasn't like, and then I wrote for that show for years,
it was the most soul-sucking job. All right. Well, we certainly have to pee by now, so we will be taking a break.
We don't want to get UTIs.
No, and we'll come back with our guest
Can't
right
wait.
after this.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Canva presents the killer of productivity. It was an ordinary workday until...
Oh no, this meeting could have been an email.
Run.
Canva had a creative solve.
Get email. I'll just put the info the team needs in a Canva doc, and I'll make it visual with images, charts, and graphics.
Bring productivity killers to justice with creativity. Love your work at canva.com.
Welcome back to How to Survive with Danielle and Kristine. Danielle.
Kristine.
So this is weird, but are you listening to The Daily still?
Not regularly. Just occasionally I'll listen to it.
Listen, this may or may not be relevant to our audience, but there's a really good new daily about menopause.
Oh, okay.
They talk a lot about how women have been ignored for so many years and we're just been meant to deal with it like, it's our own problem. And so it's a really good episode because an article was in the New York Times. I don't know. I probably forwarded it to you, and a lot of women have forwarded it to all their friends about, how we've been doing it all wrong with menopause. And this study came out and it scared everyone, and they stopped giving women hormones, and women need the hormones, it turns out. But it talked about a lot of the signs of menopause. And one of them is when your period changes, sometimes it just gushes out of you now.
So I had a friend who was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
Who, she said it was a bloodbath. It was a murder scene every month.
So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at now.
That's where you're at.
I knew you were going to ask me how my break was.
Well, I know you said you got your period. Oh, so you just floated here back into the room on a river of blood?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
That's my new thing. The last time it happened to me, I was in Germany at my in-laws. And every time I'm at my in-laws, something embarrassing happens where I feel like my mother-in-law is like, why?
Stupid American.
Why her?
Right.
Why?
She ruined some
So one night, I never get a bloody nose. One night I get a bloody nose and I soak her bed sheets.
Oh.
In the spare room. And then the next night I start my period and just bleed through all over the bed in a bloodbath, which is also a thing that, how many every years I've had a period feels like 50.
Right. It's never happened.
Never happened. And I'm like, yeah, this makes sense that now I have to ask my husband to help me soak bloody sheets a second night.
So you turn the black forest into the red forest?
That's me.
That's you.
Anyway.
Is it that guy, though, on the Daily doing today we're going to talk about menopause?
You know what? They let a woman.
Oh, okay, good.
They let a woman do it. I think I've talked enough, and
we should bring in our guest.
I don't want to be rude.
I'm so excited.
It's wonderful.
Well, in the first half of the show, we talked about how to survive a low credit score. Now we're going to talk about how to survive sharing your credit with Kate Flannery.
Woo-hoo. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you so much. And thanks for taking a pause from menopause. To talk about something else.
So nice.
We're happy to pause on the menopause. And nobody can see this except us, sadly, but because this isn't a show that we have film for, but Kate's hair looks amazing.
Kate looks amazing. If you recognize Kate's voice but aren't sure you know her, she, of course, was Meredith on The Office. You are our third Office guest.
Three's the charm.
Yeah. Yes, because Oscar and Rain, woof, swing and a miss. You're going to bring it, Kate. No,
I'm the douchiest, for sure. Well, maybe. Okay, no. It's a contest. No, everybody's actually lovely on The Office, really.
No,
it's true.
I've heard. And I'm
9 great years.
Did you tell me when we last saw each other that you go to conventions?
I do. Yeah. The fan expos. Yeah.
And I told you because my dad does that.
Of course,
and I grew up going to those. And I can't imagine when you're doing it, is it also with science fiction shows or was it other sitcoms?
Yeah. The fan expos it's a lot of Star Trek. There's usually at least 3 of us from The Office. I think there's a requirement. It has to be 3 or 4 people from each show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's, Danny Trejo's there, although I think he's by himself. There's a few people that are kind of a little rogue.
Okay.
But yeah, and I was going to say, and usually there's people from Sons of Anarchy and a little bit of The Walking Dead. I don't know.
Are you the only sitcom? Because it's the only show that has that sort of...
Sometimes we are. Yeah, sometimes we are. And actually, Back to the Future's they've been around a lot. So we see.
Okay.
Yeah, we see those guys. So literally, it's Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Why
I know.
on earth is Michael J. Fox doing that?
I don't know.
Maybe he likes it.
Maybe.
I know, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean the fans are insane.
I
mean
bet
they
that's so
are
lovely.
like they're crazy overjoyed and yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's
That's
nuts. I know. It's I feel like I'm in a very fortunate place. It's an odd but fortunate place, you know. Because then you actually get to deal with people that are, you know, kind of eat, sleeping, and breathing in the office, which is a thing. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, of course, like, I'm sure I'm representing, so I'm sure, you know, if they could sit with Steve Carell, they would probably pick him over me. But we had a great time. And, you know, we had a real experience, which is great.
Before we started the show, we were talking about the Bat episode. I mean, you had some really, really classic moments on that show. So I wouldn't sell yourself short.
No, it's not that I do, but I think I also feel like I'm super grateful, and I feel like I'm really, as a female funny person, like I feel like it's hard to sometimes get to be really funny.
Yes,
because women are sometimes so like
not
utilitarian.
Right.
It's just like, or they have to be whatever. It's just like
straight
they're in
man.
a very weird box, and so I felt very fortunate, even though I didn't like talk a lot. Sometimes I didn't talk at all in an episode, but I would still get a laugh from a look. I feel like it was. I still had. The ability to kind of use my comedy chops and be an ensemble person and like all those things that like I had, you know, gone to Chicago and studied Second City and done like that was that's the dream. I always wanted to be on a show that had a long run and had a great finale. You know, so it's like, oh my God, right?
And
like,
you must get generations now, right? Because
we do.
So many kids.
Yeah.
Your kids watched it. My
they're
kid
just
watched
starting though now. Like 'cause
really?
they've seen some episodes, but like they're just kind of starting to get into it, which is really fun.
Yeah,
they're only
I think
10.
being in a classroom is very similar to being in an office.
Yeah.
Like your boss is like your teacher, and your desk is next to somebody you didn't pick. You know,
right.
Sit next to Creed, like
right.
You know. So I think there's a lot to relate to, and I also think it's really smart. It's a smart show and never tells people when to laugh, and you can watch the same episode a few times and find something else funny about it. And the more intimate you are with all the episodes, like the more you can find like the subtleties in the background. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen every episode multiple times too.
It's crazy. Trust me. I mean, I was still waiting tables in Beverly Hills when I got the job. I was guest starring and stuff, and I had done some off Broadway and obviously worked at Second City. But I was like, oh, this could be my life. I could just be like doing my comedy act at IOS every Saturday and like waiting tables. Like this could be it. You know?
Right.
And then you get this job, and I'm like, oh my God. Like I thought it was, you know, like going to be the career waiter, you know.
Yeah.
I always say like Steve Carell was the 40-year-old virgin. I was the 40-year-old waitress. But I actually kept my job the first season, so I got to.
I've heard a bunch of people saying that. Like, didn't even Angela keep her job for a while?
I think she quit, but she was running like she used to be like the coordinator at Improv Olympic at iOS. Like she was like the one that kind of like booked people. She was like in the office having to deal with everybody like. Not that office. The boring office.
Real life office. Anyway, we're not here to talk about...
No. But I will say that it does tie in a sense because part of the reason why I was still waiting tables is because I shared credit with somebody I shouldn't have with an ex-boyfriend. So I was sort of like... I sort of had this thing where I was like, oh, I really fucked up. Like I really blew it. Can I say?
Absolutely. Yes. Say it all.
I fucked up bad. So you know, I mean, and I think that, and it's sort of like, and if you're not married to someone and they owe you money, like it's really, really tricky. It's really tricky. I mean, it's tricky when you do. You know,
Chris was talking about this guy. They broke up, and the guy had her library book, and then it incurred $60 in fines because the guy wouldn't fucking return it.
It's like, that's I mean,
small potatoes.
Yeah. No, I know, but still,
but you know, when you're in your 20s and you're like, that's $60.
You're like, that's 2 weeks of groceries for me.
Right.
Honestly, that's so funny. But it's true. It's like these things where trust issues and I mean, we'll get into it.
But tell us from the beginning.
Well, I had just left I had left Second City on I took a leave of absence to do the tour of the Real Life Brady Bunch. Do you remember this show?
Absolutely. Who did you play?
Well, in this part of I was the second Alice in the original cast. I used to play the non-Brady roles. It's funny. Andy Richter and I used to play like the non-Brady roles. We were like, and then
so you took over from Henriette Mantel?
No, she was not in our show. She was only in the movie.
I don't know why I thought. Okay.
Yeah, she didn't do the stage show. But yeah, I was the second Alice, and then they had asked me to do the tour, which was like going to be like a year, and I was like, nah. I first said no, and then I changed my mind.
Okay.
And so I ended up playing Mrs. Brady in the tour, and I was Jane Lynch's understudy as well. So I had played Mrs. Brady once at a Blue Moon when we did live show in Chicago. So yeah, it's crazy. And then
was it fun?
It was really fun. It was like Rocky Horror, but for the Brady Bunch. Like literally, everybody knew every line. They would kind of be. I mean, the music would get a laugh. The laugh track would get a laugh. Like we were. It was meta. It was like it was. I always call it like pre-YouTube theater. We were literally experiencing something by putting it on stage exactly as we
it's so
remembered
weird.
it as a kid.
Was Andy Sam the Butcher or
no? I mean, I remember we had played like Buddy Hinton's parents. I think it was like Buddy Hinton was like the kid that made fun of Cindy, who was lisping.
With the lisp.
And then Andy ended up becoming Mr. Brady on the tour.
That's right.
When we first went to New York and then LA. And then the tour was after that. So I had kind of been in all forms of like all incarnations of the show. I was part of it. So
how fun!
It was trippy. But when I was on tour, the second part of the tour, we were literally on a tour bus. Like it was the old Allman Brothers bus.
Whoa!
It was a shitty. It had seen better days.
Did you get a second-hand high from that?
Sort of. It was a little bit like wah, wah, like the sink was broken, like whatever. And there was like 11 of us on the bus, and it was crazy. But actually, Anna Gasteyer was on that part of the tour too. She was playing Alice at that point.
Okay.
But anyway, I met this guy when I was in Nashville, and I just he totally swept me off my feet. Like he came to see me in another city, and like he asked me to live with him. He was moving to New York, and I was going to move to LA after the tour because I still officially lived in Chicago, and I was totally swept off my feet. And then next thing I know, like 6 weeks later, I'm moving with this guy.
What?
I know, but I was so you know what? No one had ever asked me to live with, and I was so enamored by his adoration. Like I realized it was so based on my low self-esteem because there were so many signs that it was like, holy crap. And I remember he came to
he was love bombing you.
He totally was. And also he came to a couple different cities to visit. I remember one time he came to Philadelphia, and I went to meet him at the airport. And I'm from Philadelphia, so I borrowed my mom's car, and he forgot it. He lost his wallet. I mean, this is so obvious in retrospect, right?
Right.
So like, oh no. And then we had to go rushing back and couldn't find it. Didn't realize, all this drama. I just feel like he's one of those people that we moved in like 6 weeks after we met. He got fired. He got in a fight with his boss at the job he took in New York, and was underemployed the entire time we were together. And I had made a lot of money on the tour, and I found myself waitressing like right away. And I was working for some James Beard chef in the West Village, where like literally the guy threw a pork chop at me because he was like such a dick.
Oh my God.
Like, just fucking crazy. Like the high stakes restaurant where like they had food critics, and so literally the food.
Was it a raw pork, or was it cooked?
It was cooked. It was cooked.
He was like the character from
The Bear.
Yeah. What's
totally.
The actor's name?
Oh, what's his face?
What's his face? The soup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I actually watched The Bear and I have PTSD.
I bet.
Totally. I'm like totally because I've been in those experiences before, and I just remember like being like in an apartment that I felt like I couldn't afford, that I would never have gotten it. Like, but I feel like this guy kind of was like, "We're fine. We live in like Tudor City, like right near the UN, and like it was so ridiculous. Like Anna Nicole Smith lived in the building that we lived in at the time. I mean, she was dating that 98-year-old guy. This was like back in the 90s. Oh my God.
Wait, so how did you afford to live there?
Well, I thought he was paying because of his job, and then all of a sudden he didn't. So I'm like, oh my God. So I'm going through all my tour money, and then I'm waiting tables at this restaurant in the West Village, getting yelled at. And the food critic from the New York Times, Ruth Reichel, she was notorious for dressing up in different costumes and wigs because she didn't want anybody to recognize her. So anytime that there was somebody with a wig on, the owner chef was like, "That's Ruth Reichel." I'm like, "My woman's 90 years old. That is not Ruth Reichel." He's like, "That's her." And this is part of why I got a pork chop thrown at me. And like, or I'd be like, "That person has no eyebrows. They're like obviously going through chemo. That is not Ruth Reichel." I was so abused. And I remember Andy
Reichel is all different races.
I know. And I have such respect for like that world, but I was like, these people are nuts. Like they're like some of these James Beard chefs, like the stakes are so high, and it's like, and I'm trying to take the job seriously, but I'm clearly like, I was like, I did a few sketches on Conan at the time, and then like I remember got cast in like Jon Stewart had another show, and I got cast doing a sketch in his show. I don't even think we shot it. I actually think the show got canceled right before we were to shoot it. It was one of those, but I was like, it was just like one of those crazy New York experiences, and I realized like I was living with somebody who was insane, like literally, like I didn't know he was diagnosed bipolar until we broke up. His mom told me later, and we almost got married. And like, we ran up so much credit. Oh my God!
Did he have I know bipolar is maybe not necessarily this, but did he have moments of like euphoria and moments of depression? And like in retrospect, you go, oh, that.
It was so obvious afterwards, but I didn't know shit about bipolar disorder. And I also was like, and he would drink, and his drinking actually like made him better, more balanced, because I was sort of like, no alcoholics, please. So my dad owned a bar in Philadelphia. I was like, I know drunks like so bad, but he didn't act like a regular drunk. So I was like, this is weird, and maybe it's good. Different's good. I talk myself. Also, when he was a little crappy to me in front of other people, I used to think he was doing a bit. I'm like, he's just doing a bit. I'm like, talk about like justifying.
He's
being
really
funny.
Yeah,
he's just a character.
Yeah, he's just doing a bit. He's a character. He's just like, I know, right? I know. I'm not that fat, am I? What? Okay.
Shit.
I know. Right. And I feel like at any time, like I had any sense to confront, like, wait a minute, this is getting nuts. Like I'm so uncomfortable. I never had any debt before this, and was super responsible. He'd be like, well, I'll do this for you. We're just one job away. You book one TV show, like that whole.
Was he an actor?
No.
So what was he? What was he trying to do? Or?
He was trying to be a producer, like in TV, but I found out he was pathological. He was somehow related to people, like some people. I don't want to get too specific because I feel like there's people that might know. I'm like in the witness protection.
Yeah, right. He might find you. Yeah.
I feel like we're done. And I don't talk about it very often. But the reason why I talk about it is because I feel like when you're negotiated out of your mental health, like when someone's sort of like just kind of like constantly putting you in a position where something's wrong, but you feel like they're putting the love on the line. Like, I would do it for you. I'm like, well, then do it for me.
Right.
Like,
what's stopping you?
Right. And then I remember, like, I was we were in New York for 6 months, and then I got asked to do the stage show Valley of the Dolls in L.A. And I had worked with a lot of the same people doing the Really Brady Bunch, and I was like, this would be a good thing because, like, I figured, like, there were just great people, and I figured it would be like an important thing to do, and possibly like I wanted to move to LA anyway. So we moved to LA, and I just
together,
and that was like, it was just you just watch somebody just kind of ruin all your relationships and all your friendships, and that's when I was back, waiting full time on The Rich and Famous. I waited on The Rich and Famous at in Beverly Hills, and I waited on everybody, and then I would see people that I knew from Second City who were like, oh, hey. And you're like,
right. Because they're going to eat there now.
They're eating there, and you're like,
oh, hi, I'm working here.
Yeah. Which, it's fine. I mean, I feel like I had made more peace with it than some, like I was more comfortable than they were. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I did have like one actor friend that was like, don't work at a restaurant. Like, you don't want people to see you. Like, they're going to have a perception that you're not doing well. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I remember I tested for a lot of stuff, and then I would wait on those producers like that night or the next day, and they'd be like, hey, and it was fine. I mean, it's there's a mythology around actor waiter thing in New York too. It's like, it's as weird as you make it. But I just realized, like, but then the ex-boyfriend who I was living with would sometimes come in the middle of shift and ask for money. I'm like, what?
Wait,
no!
You come into the
like
restaurant?
into the restaurant, like while I'm waiting, like that's such, and it's just bad juju because you don't want to give out any of your tips because obviously you have to, you
have to collect them,
you have to, you have to give them to like,
Split,
you have to give
right?
or like even give the percentage to the but you haven't done the math. It's like, it's not my money until I'm done. Like, that's how I always felt. Like, so this guy was just like, he was just trouble, and I just remember like feeling so stuck, like realizing like, because I remember like he did get a job, and he was so excited. He worked at this like dive shop, for scuba divers. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the Friday comes, and it was like paycheck day. I was like, yay!
Yes.
He comes in with a brand new wetsuit.
No.
Like, I got a good deal. I mean, I just was so stuck.
He just gave the shop back his paycheck.
Totally. I mean, I was like, this is so crazy. But I just feel like there was something about me that I felt like anybody that I knew that was sort of like questioning him, I kind of doubled down. I was like, no. Like, there was some weird like form of abuse and like gaslighting. Like, I hate to use that term, but
it sounds like it though.
But it was really nuts. Like, it was really nuts, and I feel like I really put myself out on a limb. But then I remember at one point, like I remember like I tested for the Dana Carvey show. Like I got flown. Like there were so many things that was like, this is going to save everything. This is going to save all the bills, right?
Right. But I mean, you didn't think about breaking up with him during all this stuff.
Not really. No. I was hoping that like the outside would fix the inside. Like if the circumstances were like less stressful, we'd be fine.
Right. And when you said that he was on your credit, do you mean because of the rental in New York? Or
we actually put the rent on credit because and he also would like just all of a sudden he'd be like in an expensive restaurant. I'm like, what the hell? Like
using your credit?
Yeah, I'd be like, or he'd get me Christmas presents that he bought on my cards. He bought me like this stereo. I'm like, what the hell? I can't afford.
You're right. You've just hurt me by giving this.
Exactly,
to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess I just want to say like, I know that particularly like women in comedy, like it's changed so much, but I used to feel like a little bit like, oh, I can't date. I don't know what, I mean, not that I wasn't like really turning down that many people, but it's just weird. Like when someone came at me so hard that I felt like it was like, oh, this must be real because he wants everything. He wants to be with me, Right. Mm-hmm. And we talked about getting married and, but we didn't. Thank God we didn't. But it's just like watching somebody sort of go through something where they cannot figure out their life. And I realized like I was bailing him out all the time.
Financially.
Yeah. Ugh. And even like emotionally too. Like if he'd get in a fight with the landlady, like I would kind of smooth it over. And I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
This is just like, I mean, thank God for therapy and Al-Anon and like just kind of like really figuring out like, okay, I have made so many mistakes that I've got nowhere to go but up. Like I am like, and what's interesting is that he ended up breaking up with me because the show I had moved to LA to do, Valley of the Dolls, ended up going off Broadway. And when I came to New York, he's like, "You're leaving me." I'm like, "No, I'm just whatever."
This is your career.
Yeah, and then that was about like actually my credit literally ran out, and then so did he. Like it was so it was like
so it's transactional.
Yeah, it was, and not. He didn't say that. Obviously, he acted like I was leaving him to do. It was. Whatever, and a judge. There was a judgment against both of us, but it was mostly on me because it was my credit. I was I don't even think he was affected actually. So yeah, I was getting calls all the time. Actually, I was getting paged because I had a pager.
Oh God,
this was
yes,
like 1996, 97, like the worst. So
what a fun page to get.
I know, right? All the time. I was a wreck, and I was sleeping on couches at this point. I didn't have an apartment because I was doing the show, but I had like 5 sets of keys, and I was like just trying to like. Just trying to make it up. I was working, a couple different restaurant jobs and doing the show off Broadway,
Did you have to go to mediation or something or did you?
No, I ended up getting a lawyer and I had to declare bankruptcy. And I don't recommend it ever, but I feel like at the time, like, luckily my lawyer, like I found this guy who worked pro bono. I'd given money to another lawyer that I realized I couldn't afford. I was like, oh, wait a minute. And of course he kept the deposit because he's a dick. Fuck. But I found this other guy who was pro bono who was hilarious. He had such a great sense of humor. He'd be like, Ms. Flannery. So New York. I was just so awesome and just had a great sense of humor because I was fucking broken. Like I was broke and broken, but I was like, what did I do?
Right.
Because I realized like when you deal with somebody, like you can blame them all you want, but literally I allowed all of that to happen. And I'm just like watching myself like, who?
Well, because you thought you were in love or maybe you were in love and you think I think what you keep saying is it seemed like a temporary situation. Like this will this will be fixed. Well, it's
also classic. Like I don't want to analyze something I've only heard a few minutes of, but hear me out. Like someone like that who has that kind of behavior pattern, I think they're very good at doing that hard sell on I'm really great in that first 6 weeks. That's how much they can manage.
Yes.
And then you in the relationship are always going, it's going to go back to that first 6 weeks. So you're always remembering how that felt and thinking, we're going to get back to that. Yes. Not realizing that was like a temporary thing that'll never happen again. They're never going to be able to do again.
Right.
So you're sort of still like, I'm in love with who I fell in love with. Mr. 6 week in the beginning guy.
Right.
And that person was an actual fantasy, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like you're still kind of going on the fumes.
Right.
And so it's hard to really blame you for wanting that relationship.
I guess, but I just feel like, you think of yourself as a smart human being, a smart woman, like I
Right.
don't take shit. You know, I took it all. I mean, like I felt like I was negotiated out of all my health, like all my mental
Yes.
health around it.
Oh, I for
yeah.
sure. I don't know about you, Kristine or Garen, but I for sure look back on things in relationships and I'm like, how did I let that go? What?
Yeah.
Who was I?
Oh, for sure.
What?
Yeah.
Did I not? I knew at the time. I knew it was wrong because obviously it bothered me. But I just low self-esteem.
Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Very.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. The
yeah.
self-esteem piece is like, and I think it's also, just. I thought that I was strong enough to fix him. Mm-hmm. I did.
Right.
I thought
Like you had the
I was
power.
like, I'm going to show him what a good work ethic is. I'm going to work so hard, and then maybe he'll get like literally.
I'll inspire him.
Yeah.
So when
dream on, honey.
When you broke up, were you upset that he broke up with you, or were you relieved?
I was
or-
relieved.
Okay,
I
so
was
you
really
know
relieved.
it's
I knew it was
right.
good. Yeah. And then I remember a couple years later. Oh, first of all, it took me 3 years to get my stuff back from him. Because he just kind of justified, like, oh no, I'm holding on for you. Oh, you're moving around. You don't have the. Oh, I don't need to. It's too expensive to send it to New York, and I'm like, it's totally crazy. But I remember I cat sat for him, and then I called my friends, and I was like, he's gone. Let's go. And I left like, and even the stereo that he bought me, I did not take that. I was like, that's yours. Like, I just literally took back what was like really mine. You know, my grandmother's dresser and my aunt's lamps, like things like I was like, oh, there's no argument here. This is clearly mine.
It's your personal stuff.
And then like I think that year, someone that lived in the same complex as I did when I lived with him, they came into the restaurant and they told me that he had married somebody else. And it was in the middle of the shift, and he's like, "I'm so sorry. I just realized you're working. Are you upset?" I'm like, "No, I'm actually so relieved because he's legally someone else's problem."
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor woman.
Yeah. But and there was so many dances of like, "Oh, I'll pay you back. Oh, I'll give you some of the money." Like he kept trying to set that up later, and every time I realized it was
He
bullshit.
never did.
No.
And how was it that you came to find out? You said like his mom or something told you that he was bipolar?
Yeah.
or?
After actually, it was shortly after I was still in New York. I think the off-Broadway show, the Valley of the Dolls, had just closed, and I was just trying to get him off my like car insurance, like that kind of stuff. All those things that are so tricky.
Yeah.
And it's just like oh my God! Like I felt like every time I picked up my pager, it was like bad news. He got in an accident. I was like, what the hell? Fender bender. I was like, what the hell? Like I cannot be attached to this person anymore. So I just as a cautionary tale, man, woman, whatever your gender, like if you're with someone and they're pushing your real boundaries, like. And your safety and your sanity and your friendships and your real relationships with people that really love you, like just stop, drop, and roll. You're on fire. Get out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, it speaks, like I was thinking like it spoke to my weakness that I stayed, but it actually spoke to my crazy strength. I was like,
right.
I'm
can
going to
do
make
it.
this work.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Dear God.
I was very fortunate in that every nutbag I dated always broke up with me very quickly. So I didn't have to ever make those hard decisions.
Thank God, right? Thank God.
Yes.
Rejection is protection, right?
Oh, did you coin that?
I did not. No, that's
interesting.
That is older than
I think it
dirt,
probably means if you do the rejecting, you're protecting yourself.
No, any
Really?
rejection, if you are taken out of a situation, it is probably for the best.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I always
think about
protection.
that as my all of my failures in Hollywood. I'm always like, that's protection.
That's
It's totally true,
protection.
right?
You know?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think that a lot when I hear horror stories about people's work experiences, and I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It worked out like it was supposed to.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
You know?
And having waited on like so many famous people, I was like, oh, I'm okay. I don't need to work with some people. I can just remember that I liked them before I actually got to talk to them.
Right.
But also, that's the thing. You want to have a truly good life, not a life that just looks good from the outside. You actually want to feel good.
Yeah.
Creatively, like psychologically, emotionally,
Right.
physically, all those things. Like it's so important. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm a cautionary tale. Just don't share your fucking credit, you guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, now more than ever, because you're like, everything you do is so, your history is like insane. You can't do one thing without it being referenced at some point. I'm so glad the internet was not happening, or social media was not happening when I was involved with this, with this guy. But I don't want any. It's I literally got to burn some pictures, which I find like you can't do that anymore. I mean, you can't. They still exist
forever. I just think of all these teens and people in their 20s who are going through all these dumbass toxic relationships, and it's all on social media for them.
And you know every party that you're not invited to because of social media. How do kids deal with that?
Well, they don't. I think that's why we have a mental health crisis among teens. They're all miserable because they're all just seeing all of it all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's painful.
That to me is the worst of it.
Yeah.
Just like, ugh. I don't know. Because you just want to feel like at least you're in your own world. Like, you know what you know. I know just enough.
Right. Why do I have to know everything I'm not included in? I already had a notion. Do I really need it as fact? Yeah.
Right. And of course, being in show business, you would know every job you didn't get.
Kate, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys
that was
so much.
A very good cautionary tale.
Yeah, and we fixed everything.
We did. We fixed it all.
I think we fixed most.
Again, why does it keep getting broken when we fix it every week? It's weird.
I don't think enough people are taking our advice.
Yeah. You know what? It's their fault.
Yep, not us.
Not us. All right. Thank you so much, Kate. And we will be right back with What Did We Learn Today?
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
This episode is sponsored by AutoTrader. There's a good chance you're driving right now. Look around. Safely. What do you see? Cars. Lots of them. And guess what? They're probably on AutoTrader. Whether you're into timeless classics or the latest trends. Did somebody say solar-powered, eco-friendly, vegan, leather-wrapped, aromatherapy-scented, disco ball-equipped, self-driving car? If you see it on the road, you can likely find it on AutoTrader. Big cars, small cars, blue cars, new cars, used cars, electric cars, and one day, maybe even flying cars. With millions to choose from, buying a car becomes a whole lot easier. See it, find it, AutoTrader. Find your next car on autotrader.com.
Kristine.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Kristine. Are you ready to learn what we learned today?
Please.
Expect the finger of Christ at a Lizzo show. Ariana Grande's boyfriend may be best known for his Tony-nominated role as SpongeBob SquarePants in the Broadway musical version of the animated series.
That makes him sexier.
Sure. SpongeBob Smooth Pants.
Ooh.
Low credit score can affect many areas of your life, including access to renting an apartment. Credit maintenance is confusing by design. Take the time to learn, and you can fix your credit for better access to lower rates, mortgages, etc.
Read my book that doesn't exist.
Yeah, maybe it does. Have you ever looked for it?
No.
You wouldn't know what it's called.
True. But I do Google myself, and it's not out there.
Do you?
I mean, I have, just to make sure there isn't anything, I don't want out there.
Your name would not be on that.
No.
That would be a ghost.
It would be her name, right?
It would be her name, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like celebrating reaching adulthood, like walking right into crippling debt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the American way.
There are 3 main credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. A True Hollywood Story ran from March 29th, 1996 to November 22nd, 2021.
Whoa, I thought you were going to say 2012, and I would have been like, oh my God, I drove it into the ground.
You killed it.
That would actually be my proudest career moment if I drove that into the ground.
That's so funny.
Damn it. Went for another 11 years.
Well, if you can, until next time, remain calm.